Chrisean Rock's story about Junior just took the kind of turn that makes the internet stop breathing. Because Jason Lee did not walk into this drama quietly. He came in like he was carrying a folder labeled "Everybody Panic." 1 minute people were asking regular questions, the next minute alleged receipts, private voice notes, medical document rumors, and cryptic posts were flying around like Zeus security had clocked out early. And here is where it gets messy. Because this is not just another celebrity screaming match over clout, comments, and who posted who first. This involves Junior, it involves Chrisean's public image, and it involves Jason claiming there are details people were never supposed to hear. So now fans are sitting online like a jury with ring lights, asking one question that nobody can ignore. Was something really hidden, or was someone setting the whole stage from the beginning? Because the second that they set me up energy entered the chat, the entire story flipped upside down like a WWE table at the worst family reunion in America. Suddenly, Jason's alleged receipts were under inspection, Blueface's cryptic posts started looking louder, and every leaked message became another puzzle piece in a picture nobody fully understands yet. But if the next drop proves who really knew what, this drama may not just expose a secret, it may expose the person holding the matches before Jason Lee ever stepped into the middle of this storm. The internet was already side-eyeing Chrisean Rock's situation like something was missing from the picture. Fans had been watching the hospital talk, the emotional posts, the sudden silences, and every little moment where her energy looked different on live. Nobody had the full story, but everybody felt the same weird tension floating around, like a scene in a reality show where the music gets quiet because something ugly is about to happen. And then Jason came along and turned that quiet suspicion into a full-blown internet emergency. According to the transcript, Jason did not present this like regular gossip. And that is exactly why the whole thing caught fire so fast. He allegedly went live and started teasing receipts, not soft little rumors from somebody's cousin's group chat, but the kind of supposed evidence that makes fans sit up straight and start screen recording before the sentence is even finished. He claimed people did not know what Chrisean had really been hiding, and the second Junior's name became part of the conversation, the mood changed completely. Because now this was not just mess, it was mess with consequences. And listen, celebrity drama usually comes with a little screaming, a little posting, a little fake and bothered selfie, and somebody hopping on live acting like they accidentally told too much. But this situation was different because the allegations were wrapped around something sensitive, emotional, and way bigger than clout. Jason's claims pulled in alleged medical documents, private voice messages, and insider leaks that supposedly pointed to a story much darker than fans were told. So now the internet was not laughing from a distance anymore. They were leaning in like Netflix had just dropped episode 1 of Everybody Lead. The wild part is that fans did not even need a full confirmed timeline to start building one themselves. Because the internet loves nothing more than a mystery with blurry screenshots and bad vibes. People immediately started pulling up old moments, old hospital references, old emotional captions, and those random lives where Chrisean seemed tired, defensive, or ready to end the stream the second things got too personal. Suddenly, moments that once looked harmless started getting treated like clues. A caption about staying strong was no longer just a caption. A missing update became suspicious. A quiet day became evidence in the court of TIKT. Then came the detail that made everybody's stomach drop. Jason allegedly played or referenced a private voice note where a panicked voice said that if the world found out, it would be over for them. Now, whether people believed it or not, that line alone was enough to turn the chat into a digital stampede. Fans were not just asking what happened anymore. They were asking who was scared, what they were scared of, and why someone would be that desperate to keep something from coming out. That is when the story stopped feeling like gossip and started feeling like somebody had kicked open a locked door. And of course, because this is the internet, the second Jason lit the match, every major gossip page came running with gasoline and a caption in all caps. Clips started spreading, reaction pages started chopping up the live, and fans were zooming into every blurred document like they were working for the FBI with ring lights. Nobody had confirmed enough to fully trust anything, but that did not stop the timeline from moving like the verdict was already written. Some people said Jason was exposing a hidden truth. Others said he was playing with a mother's private pain for views. Either way, the damage had already started. Then the alleged leaks started multiplying because apparently one dramatic live stream was not enough for the internet circus. A burner account reportedly posted screenshots of unverified messages where Chrisean was allegedly asking about whether things were getting worse, whether something could stay off record, and what would happen if an appointment was missed. The replies in those alleged messages were even heavier, warning that consistency mattered and delays could be risky. Again, none of it was confirmed, but once people saw those words, the conversation became 10 times darker. The timeline stopped joking for half a second, then immediately went back to spiraling. That is when Blueface entered the picture in the most Blueface way possible, by saying just enough to cause maximum chaos and explaining absolutely nothing. According to the transcript, a cryptic post about the truth always coming out had fans connecting dots like they were building a conspiracy wall out of red string. Suddenly, old clips of him were being dragged back up, old comments were being rewatched, and people started wondering whether he had been hinting at something long before Jason ever said a word. But the thing about cryptic posts is they do not clarify drama. They turn it into a scavenger hunt. And while fans were busy arguing over Blueface's timing, the story somehow found another trapdoor. A supposed insider allegedly went live anonymously, using a voice filter and black screen, and claimed the real situation was worse than what Jason had already revealed. They talked about arguments behind the scenes, pressure around decisions, and people in Chrisean's circle allegedly clashing over what should happen next. That turned the whole scandal from one person's allegation into a messy backstage war. Now, it was not just about what Chrisean knew. It was about who around her knew, who disagreed, and who may have been waiting to talk. From there, the betrayal angle started getting louder. And honestly, that is where the story became pure reality TV darkness. Threads began claiming the alleged documents did not just magically appear, but may have come from someone close enough to access private information. Fans threw out theories about assistants, family members, management, and anybody who had ever stood too close to the situation with a phone in their hand. It was giving Zeus reunion backstage, but with less yelling and way more danger. Because if the leaks really came from inside her circle, then this was not just exposure. This was personal. Through all of it, Chrisean's silence became its own character in the story. Every hour she did not fully respond made people louder, meaner, more curious, and more convinced that something huge was sitting behind the curtain. Some fans defended her, saying the leaks felt invasive and cruel, especially because Junior was involved. Others insisted that if Jason had real details, then the public deserved answers. That is the kind of internet courtroom energy nobody survives clean, because even silence gets twisted into confession, strategy, guilt, fear, or preparation. Chrisean was trapped before she even opened her mouth, and then, just when the story looked like it was fully leaning against her, Chrisean allegedly shifted the entire narrative with one cryptic move. A short, grainy clip appeared, looking almost like security footage, with a line suggesting that she had been set up. That changed everything because suddenly the question was no longer just what did Jason reveal? It became who gave it to him, why they gave it to him, and whether this entire scandal was designed to explode at the perfect moment. Because if Chrisean really has footage that flips the story, then Jason did not just start a fire. He may have walked into one, and just when everybody thought the story had already reached maximum chaos. The internet did what the internet always does best. It took one messy claim, added 5 unverified screenshots, 3 cryptic posts, a dozen reaction channels, and turned the whole thing into a digital Super Bowl of suspicion. Jason Lee's alleged details had already pushed the conversation into dangerous territory. But once fans started treating every leak like courtroom evidence, The situation stopped looking like celebrity gossip and started looking like a Zeus reunion filmed inside a tornado. Because now people were not just asking what Chrisean knew. They were asking who was moving behind her, who was whispering to Jason, who had access to private details, and who suddenly had a reason to make everything public. It was giving Kardashian-level family strategy mixed with WWE betrayal energy, where everybody smiles on camera, but somebody backstage is hiding a steel chair. And the more people watched, the more the story started feeling less like a random leak and more like a calculated explosion with perfect timing. Then came the fan outrage. And baby, the comment sections turned into complete legal theater with no judge, no jury, and absolutely no chill. One side was saying Jason crossed a line by dragging something so personal into the public square, especially when Junior was involved, and nobody had confirmed the full truth. The other side was acting like he had just opened the vault at Marvel headquarters and revealed the secret villain. Nobody wanted a balanced conversation. Everybody wanted a side, a suspect, and a dramatic slow-motion confession by midnight. And of course, the memes arrived like they had been waiting in the parking lot with snacks. People were comparing the alleged leaks to a Marvel post-credit scene, saying every time the story looked finished, another character popped up with darker information. One meme had fans joking that Blueface was posting like a mysterious side quest NPC who knows everything but refuses to explain the mission. Another compared the whole situation to a Kardashian dinner where everybody knows the secret. But nobody speaks until the camera angle gets flattering enough. But underneath all the jokes, the tension was nasty because the contradictions were getting louder than the accusations themselves. Jason was allegedly presenting details like he had serious sources, but Chrisean's cryptic setup energy made people question whether those sources were clean or messy. Fans started asking why this was happening now, why the alleged information landed so publicly, and why so many people around the situation seemed to be reacting without directly explaining anything. It was like watching a reality show where every cast member has a microphone, but somehow nobody is saying the whole sentence. Then Blueface's cryptic posting made everything worse, because apparently in celebrity drama, a vague sentence can cause more damage than a full interview. When a post hints that the truth always comes out, fans do not calmly move on with their evening. They start dragging old clips out of the grave, slowing down expressions, comparing timelines, and acting like they are decoding ancient scrolls. Suddenly, every past argument, every weird look, and every uncomfortable moment became part of a brand new theory. Blueface did not need to name names. The internet named them for him. Meanwhile, the alleged insider claims gave the scandal another ugly layer. Because once someone says there were arguments behind the scenes, fans immediately start picturing conference rooms, family blow-ups, managers panicking, and somebody yelling near a ring light. The transcript's anonymous insider angle pushed the idea that this was not just about one accusation, but about pressure, public image, schedules, and decisions people may have disagreed over. That made the story feel heavier, because now the drama was not only outside on the timeline. It sounded like it had been boiling behind closed doors for a while. And this is where the whole thing started to feel like WWE mixed with family court and a YouTube exposed channel that discovered espresso. Every update made someone look suspicious. Then the next update made the accuser look suspicious. Then the next one made the silent person look suspicious again. Fans were switching theories faster than celebrities switch publicists after a scandal. 1 minute Chrisean was being accused of hiding too much. The next minute people were saying she might have been betrayed by people close enough to know exactly where the weak spot was. The alleged group chat angle only turned the mess into premium chaos. Because once screenshots started floating with claims about someone getting paid, the whole conversation shifted from concern to conspiracy. Now fans were not just asking whether information leaked, they were asking whether somebody sold it like a backstage pass to destruction. That is the type of detail that makes the internet foam at the mouth, because money changes the whole flavor of betrayal. Suddenly, this was not giving messy misunderstanding. It was giving somebody knew the house was full of gas and still flicked the lighter. And let's talk about how fast people became detectives. Because the timeline had folks acting like they had been personally hired by the FBI, TMZ, and Kris Jenner's crisis team at the same time. They were mapping who followed who deleted what, who went quiet, who posted late, and who looked to calm for the amount of chaos happening. A random deleted account became a plot twist. A silent story became suspicious. A blurry screenshot became proof for people who had already decided what they wanted to believe before breakfast. But even with all that noise, Chrisean's silence kept controlling the room. Which is crazy because sometimes saying nothing becomes louder than a 10-minute live. Fans were watching her page like it owed them rent, waiting for a full explanation, an emotional breakdown, a clapback, anything that could tell them which direction the truth was leaning. But instead of giving a clean statement, the alleged setup angle made everything murkier. It was like she dropped a puzzle piece but refused to show the box cover. And now everybody was fighting over what picture it belonged to. That is why the full video soon energy hit so hard. Because it promised a possible reversal without actually giving one yet. If that footage shows someone plotting, selling, or manipulating information, then the whole Jason Lee conversation could flip overnight. But if the footage does not prove enough, the internet is going to roast it like a failed season finale that advertised a dragon and delivered a lizard. That is the danger of teasing evidence in a scandal this loud. Once you promise the receipts, the audience starts sharpening knives for disappointment. By this point, the drama had escaped everybody's control. And that is when celebrity scandals become their most dangerous. Jason's claims, Blueface's posts, the alleged leaks, the supposed insiders, the deleted accounts, and Chrisean's cryptic response all started crashing into each other like a reality TV multiverse nobody asked for but everybody watched. Every side had something to gain, something to hide, or something to explain. And as the internet kept screaming for answers, one thing became painfully obvious. Whoever drops the next piece may not just change the story. They may bury somebody's version of it completely. By the time Chrisean finally gave the internet that cryptic little teaser, the damage was already running around barefoot with scissors. Jason Lee's claims had opened the door, the alleged leaks had kicked the furniture over, and now everybody was standing in the middle of the mess asking who started the fire. The story was no longer just about what happened with Junior, because that part had become wrapped in so many rumors, emotions, and unverified details that even the timeline started looking exhausted. Now the real question was uglier. Who wanted Chrisean cornered? And why did this all explode so perfectly? And that is where the emotional fallout started hitting different. Because once a child's name gets pulled into public drama, the jokes can only carry the story so far. Even the fans who love chaos had to pause for a second and admit this situation felt heavier than the usual celebrity mess. Chrisean's supporters were furious, saying people had taken something private and turned it into entertainment like it was another reunion episode with folding chairs and confessionals. Meanwhile, her critics were not backing down either, arguing that if Jason really had new details, then silence was only making everything look worse. But the silence was not empty anymore, because that full video soon promised changed the temperature completely. Suddenly, everybody was waiting like this was the season finale of a show that had already burned through every plot twist in the writer's room. If Chrisean dropped footage that proved someone played her, then Jason's entire reveal could start looking like part of a bigger setup. But if the video came out weak, vague, or confusing, the same internet that was defending her would turn around and ask why she teased a bombshell if all she had was smoke. Jason, on the other hand, was not walking away untouched. Because the second Chrisean suggested setup energy, fans started dragging his receipts into the spotlight too. People wanted to know where the alleged information came from, who handed it over, and whether the source had clean motives or messy fingerprints all over the envelope. In celebrity exposed culture, the person revealing the scandal can become part of the scandal real quick. And that is exactly what started happening here. 1 minute Jason looked like the man with the files. The next minute, people were asking who loaded the files into his hands. Then came the alliance shifting. Because every scandal has that one moment where people stop reacting emotionally and start choosing teams like it is a messy royal war. Some influencers back Jason, saying the truth should come out no matter how uncomfortable it gets. Others defended Chrisean, saying exposing alleged private details involving Junior was not journalism. It was cruelty with a thumbnail. Even casual fans started splitting into camps, and the arguments turned nasty fast. It became less about facts and more about loyalty, past opinions, and who people already wanted to believe before the new details arrived. Blueface's cryptic energy kept floating over the whole situation like a villain cameo nobody asked to explain. His posts were vague enough to deny everything but sharp enough to keep fans spiraling, which is basically the celebrity drama version of throwing a match and saying you never saw the gasoline. Every time he hinted at truth, roles, or people hiding things, the internet treated it like another clue from a Marvel trailer. But the problem with cryptic posting is that it never gives answers. It only feeds the machine until everybody is too worked up to remember what was confirmed and what was just noise. And behind all the memes, there was a reputation battle happening in real time. Chrisean's image was being tested from every angle, not just as a celebrity, but as a mother under public pressure. Jason's image was being questioned too, because fans were asking whether this was a real reveal or a risky public spectacle built around private pain. Even the alleged insiders and mystery accounts became part of the fallout, because if someone close really leaked sensitive information, that betrayal is not the kind of wound a cute Instagram story can patch. That is friendship ending, team destroying, career-shaking damage. The most confusing part is that every new detail made the story feel bigger, but not clearer. Alleged messages pointed one way, cryptic posts pointed another, anonymous voices added shadows, and Chrisean's teased footage turned the entire scandal into a waiting game. It was like watching a reality TV mansion lose power during the biggest fight of the season, with everybody screaming in the dark and nobody admitting who flipped the switch. The public wanted one clean villain, one clean victim, and one clean explanation. Instead, they got a maze full of half answers, blurred receipts, and people acting suspiciously calm. So now the future of this drama depends on what comes next, and that is what makes it dangerous. If Chrisean's full video exposes someone plotting behind the scenes, the entire internet may owe her an apology they will probably deliver with attitude and excuses. If Jason has more alleged receipts, then the next drop could push the story into an even darker chapter. But if both sides keep teasing evidence without fully clearing the air, this situation is going to keep growing legs, arms, and a whole new cast. And the craziest part is that someone still has not played their biggest card yet. Now listen. If your brain is still buffering after this mess, go ahead and smash that like button like it owes you child support, apology money, and 3 deleted screenshots. Because this story did not just walk into the room, it kicked the door open wearing sunglasses and carrying a folder full of confusion. Drop your thoughts in the comments right now, because I need to know if you think Jason Lee really had the details, or if Chrisean just exposed a bigger setup hiding behind the curtain. And do not be one of those people who watches the whole drama, gasps every 2 minutes, then leaves without subscribing like you were raised in a wifey-less cave. Subscribe to Fame Flaws, turn on notifications, and stay locked in, because the next update could be the one that flips the whole story from scandal to betrayal. Around here, we do not chase the drama after it cools down. We catch it while it is still smoking. This is Fame Flaws, where fame cracks, secrets leak, and the truth never exits quietly.